Really, the story comes from Tim's brother, Chris, who told me this story.
Quem contou essa história pro Garvey foi o tio do meu marido.
And this happened after the story which I told you before, when he was rescuing people in the river after the boat was went on the sandbank and so on. He used to take people out hunting. So he was a guide, and somebody would come who wanted to shoot a lion. Now you have to get a special permit to shoot a lion, but this was an American who had a permit to shoot a lion, and he hired Alistair and his African guide to go and find a lion and shoot it, you see. Because lions are very dangerous. Anyway, they were going through the bush, and eventually Alistair said, "There, a lion," you see, and they could just see this lion in the distance. And the lion came towards them, and Alistair said to this American, he said, "Don't shoot. Don't shoot, you must not shoot too soon or you will miss it and wound it, and then a wounded lion is very dangerous." And the lion was coming towards them, and the American who was wanting to shoot, he got frightened and he fired too soon, and he wounded the lion but didn't kill it. Now a wounded lion is a very, very dangerous animal, so Alistair said, "Okay, we now have to, I'll go with my African guide and we will track the lion and shoot it, because a wounded lion is very dangerous." And so they were going along through the bush, and they came to a riverbed, dry riverbed with high banks on either side. And so Alistair said to his African guide, he said, "Sambo, you go along the top of the bank, and I will go up the middle of the riverbed, you see. And I think the lion is up there." So they went very carefully along. And then suddenly, the lion jumped out of the bush, and he was running along the top of the riverbed, straight at the African guide. And he was just going to jump on him and kill him. But Alistair was down in the bottom of the riverbed, and as the lion came, he shot it, just as it was in mid-air and about to land on his guide. And as the lion was shot, it fell into the riverbed, right on top of Alistair, and smashed him down to the ground. So there he was, and as the lion went through the air, it died. So he'd shot it dead. But now he had a dead lion on top of him, and there
a very heavy
beast. And he was underneath, and so his African guide went back to the camp, and they fetched help, and they lifted the lion off poor Alistair, and he didn't seem too good, but he got up, and they said, "Are you all right, Alistair?" And he said, yeah, I'm fine. But he wasn't really fine at all. And he wasn't at all well, and he went back to the camp, and he insisted on carrying on doing his work as a hunter, showing people lions and so on. But eventually he felt very, very ill, and they took him to hospital, and they found he had malaria.
A kind of disease. It's a disease.
Malaria is a fever which comes when you are bitten by mosquitoes.
The bad
Mosquitoes have a bad. The mosquito puts the malaria in your blood, and you get very, very hot and sweaty, and it can kill you. Anyway, he was in hospital being treated for malaria, but he wasn't getting better. And eventually, they found that what had happened was when the lion fell on him, it had ruptured his spleen.
Wow.
Which is one of the organs of the body.
Uh-huh.
And so they had to operate on him and remove his spleen. And then he recovered from the malaria, and he was okay.
But, so he also had malaria?
Yeah, he had malaria and a ruptured spleen.
Wow.
So and then he went back. That's the story. It's just a short little story.
Alistair was a hero again.
Alistair was a hero again.
Yeah.